All right. Good morning, everybody. We're still in morning for about another 43 minutes. So then it'll be Sunday afternoon instead of Sunday morning. So I'm just going to jump right in. I'm not going to take any fanfare or music or any of those fun things because I want to go ahead and talk about some of the things about the Charlie Adelson trial, or the Charlie Adelson case, Donna Adelson case, that bother me. That I think I'm probably the only person on YouTube true crime that just can't, I just cannot fully embrace his guilt. And a jury of his peers has found him guilty. So I'm in the wrong there. I own that. And there are problems, as most people know now. There are problems. It's likely he will get a new trial. But I want to kind of put all that aside, and I just kind of want to go back to focus on what are the things that cause me to have misgivings about the potential for him to be guilty of what they claim that he is guilty of. And the case that was presented against him, correct? The way that the evidence was laid out for them to earn the conviction, and he is currently serving life in prison without benefit of parole. So again, I can't state this enough. I'm in the minority, 100%. I don't know if, but maybe 2 or 3 people. Hey, DB, how are you? I don't know, but maybe 2 or 3 people that kind of feel like I do, that this really wasn't a strong case against Charlie. And to be fair, I think when you read the synopsis of the case, then you can say, oh yeah, he totally did it. The problem is when you start getting into the testimony, or you start looking at the dates and the timeline of these events, you start looking into the credibility of certain people. It becomes really hard to get to a point of going, okay, well, you don't seem exactly credible, or this timeline is illogical, or that is unreasonable to believe. And are we going to use all of that illogical, unreasonable, kind of gray, iffy stuff to send someone to prison for the rest of their lives when you really don't have an express motive, right? And I know what you guys are saying. I respect that. I understand that you believe that this family, that there was enmeshment, and that Charlie would do whatever his mommy told him to do. I know, I recognize that was the narrative, the storyline that Georgia Cappleman provided in the trial. I see a lot of things in these recordings and the evidence and whatnot. I see a lot of things that would be inconsistent with enmeshment. All right. So, and I have training. I know what enmeshment is. I know what it looks like. I understand the ramifications of enmeshment. But there are things that are quite inconsistent with enmeshment, that their actions and their behaviors and their history do not look like an enmeshed family. In fact, Charlie just sort of seems like this. He's just kind of this happy-go-lucky guy that does whatever he wants to do and he doesn't care if people try to pressure him or expect him to behave in any certain way. So that is where we start. Okay. And so I there's a few dates here that I think we need to really put out because it's been a long time since we covered and talked about this case. So first of all, Wendy Adelson and Dan Markel married in 2006. Wendy filed for divorce September the 10th, 2012. So the marriage went bad fairly quickly, correct? She had quite a long list of grievances against Dan Markel. She felt like she was diminished. She felt like he didn't really see her once the children came along, that her needs didn't matter, that he was the man and he would be the shining star with his very special career. He's brilliant guy, smart legal scholar and all that. And that Wendy was reduced to your function is to pop out babies and then to feed them and take care of them once they're here. And she didn't like that. She had been a star on her own before marrying. And she had always done very well academically. And she had always, kind of been the center of a bevy of friends. And so she wasn't happy with being reduced to her biological function. She didn't like that. So there was a lot of frustration. There was a lot within the marriage, and the marriage itself was quite short-lived. So perhaps there was maybe 4 years of happiness, perhaps 5 years. But ultimately, Dan in September, now Wendy's divorce papers were drawn up on September the 5th of 2012. Dan left to go on a business trip to New York. And then the filing for the divorce was September the 10th, 2012. So it does look like it was timed, that she knew about the upcoming trip and she wanted to orchestrate using that time to be able to move out and take the things that, she wanted. And to be fair, his response to the divorce paperwork by Wendy, the allegations in the divorce paperwork, he said that it was a plundering, that Wendy stole everything and only left a few discarded, items that were not worth anything. We found out later on, though, that in fact she took half, right? That she divided up by half what was in the bank accounts and whatnot. So I don't know, divorces are ugly and nasty, and they cause a lot of really bad feelings, and people can act in really, ways that they would never normally behave. So they married in 2006. The divorce Wendy filed September the 10th, 2012. And then the divorce was granted 1 year later, July 31st, 2013. And then, interestingly enough, Dan was killed a year later, July 18th, 2014. So 2012, they filed. 2013, it was granted. 2014, Dan was killed. Now then, the other important part of this timeline, really important part, is Katie Magbanoa, right? And that is what's going on with Katie and Charlie at the same time that Dan and Wendy are going through this terrible breakup and divorce. So Charlie met Katie Magbanoa in the SoFi dental offices, where she had begun working in like June of 2013, which is really, really interesting because the divorce was final July 2013. So about the time that Wendy's getting her divorce, Charlie begins working. I don't remember what he said. I think it was a half a day every 3 weeks. Okay. And he was working at this SoFi dental office half a day every 3 weeks. I think that's right. And that is how he first came to know Katie Magbanoa. All right. These dates become really important in terms of my experience and believability. That's the wrong word. My ability to believe what witnesses are saying hinge upon the dates of this fateful summer. All right. So keep that in mind because the dates matter. Divorce filed 2012, always the summer. Divorce filed 2012. Divorce granted 2013. Katie Magbanoa starts her job at SoFi Dental Clinic. And then 1 year later, 2014, summer of 2014, Dan is killed. It's a crazy ass timeline. It's just nuts in terms of like real human beings, real human experience. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen to this little clip of Charlie Adelson. Where is he? Hold on. I've lost Charlie. Where is it? Here it is. Yep. Okay, so here we go. Let me make sure our sound is up. I hope everybody is doing awesome. Thank you for being here. Let's see what Charlie has to say.
A little bit about Catherine Magbanoa. May I have one moment, Your Honor?
Take your time.
How did you first meet Catherine Magbanoa?
I met Katie in the summer of 2013. She started working the front desk of a dental office that I worked at.
And what was that dental office? Where was it?
The name of the office was SoFi Dental, and it was in South Beach.
What did she do for the dental office?
She was the front desk and office manager for the office.
How often would you work in that office?
I was there, say, every 3 weeks. I was there for half a day every 3 weeks.
Was that office a big generator of income for you?
It was one of my better offices, yeah.
Now, you said you met her in July 2013. When did you first go out with her?
We first went out, it would have been first week of October, around October 10th.
And who initially pursued who?
I pursued her.
Why did you ask her out?
Katie was really cute. She was friendly. She went to she actually graduated from UCF, also different time, but she graduated from there. She was a really smart girl. I mean, she was extremely smart and witty, and that's why I pursued her.
And if you see her photographs from that time period, she was actually really, really, really beautiful. Okay, so October the 10th was the first date, right? All right. Now, my next clip. Hold on a second. Okay, I don't want to do the long clip just yet. Oh, yeah, maybe that is the right one. Okay. Sorry, hold on. Okay. So now we have to keep this in order. We have divorce filed for summer of 2012. Divorce granted, or Katie Magbanoa starts working June 2013. Divorce is granted July 2013. And then first date is October the 10th, 2013. That is going to be important.
Okay.
Or
Was that
early,
last month? Like it was,
no, it was this month, or no, it was last month. Either way, it's within the past 2 months. You did admit that when Sigfredo told you, and obviously you didn't know that Sigfredo, you're saying you didn't know that Sigfredo was the one that did it, but you knew he was getting someone to take care of this for Charlie, that he asked for money, and then when he needed more money for something, you would go back to Charlie and get more money for it.
yes. Okay. It's just that before that, okay, that paper that I told you that
And the diaper bag?
had, yeah, that had to have been towards the beginning of the year,
Okay.
2014.
At the beginning of 2014, so after Christmas.
The paper that they're talking about at the beginning of 2014, the first date is October the 10th, 2013. So we're talking about what, weeks before this paper that Katie's talking about here. What is the paper? This is the paper that allegedly Charlie told Katie, there's an envelope in the diaper bag. Don't touch it. I wore gloves. I printed it off at a rando office that nobody would ever associate with me. Don't just leave it alone. Those are the instructions for the murder of Dan Markel. Okay, what? Hold on a second. He meets her October 10th. Then by October 31st, Halloween, he says to her, hey, you know anybody that can knock off my brother-in-law? And then fast forward 8 weeks into January, and now we're already giving money and letters, and he doesn't know these people from a hole in the ground. Does that make sense? Is that logical? Is that believable on any level? It's so unrealistic, and it's going to get even more unrealistic as we go further into this.
I spoke to Tara about it,
Okay.
and I don't know if she relayed anything
Okay.
to Chris,
Okay.
but I haven't spoken to Chris.
You haven't spoken to Chris.
No.
It was just Tara that you spoke to?
Yes.
Okay. When you spoke with Tara, did you had come off of any information, or did y'all have a conversation about maybe you remembering some more stuff?
It was.
Okay, and let me ask, what do you guys think about that timeline? Hey, Justice Jane, how are you? What do you guys think about that timeline? Do you think if Charlie Adelson were to wear gloves, to take time to print the death instructions from a different office, different machine, if he would go to those lengths to do that, how trusting would he be that he meets someone who's working as an office manager in one of the offices where he works on October the 10th, and then 3 weeks later he says, hey, do you know someone that can knock off my brother-in-law? Does that match? If you're going to be so cautious that you're going to wear gloves and you're going to take the trouble to go to a completely separate office to print, does it make sense that you would just say, after knowing a chick 3 weeks, hey, I want to hire a hitman. You got anybody in mind? It's so difficult to, but what do you guys think? I really want to know if you guys think that matches. The same person that would wear gloves and go to an office to print off a piece of paper would be so careless to just outright ask someone after 3 weeks, hey, I need to hire a hitman. Is that logical? I mean, we don't even have to use the word reasonable because there's nothing reasonable about it. You start talking about hiring someone to beat up a person or kill a person, that right there, you've left reasonable quite far behind already, right? It's illogical. I'm just talking about just the person, just Charlie, that if he's so careful, if he's showing such a high attention to detail, that not only would he print off the instructions at a different office unconnected to him, but that he would also wear gloves when he's handling the envelope. We're going to find out later, not today, I'm not going to talk much about it, but in the trial, Katie Magbanoa starts talking about how the money's actually physically wet. Like it's been washed. Okay, so they actually washed paper money too? So they're so careful, they're so scared and so frightened of getting caught that they're laundering money. Now, does laundering money mean washing your money with Tide? That's not what laundering means. Laundering means cleaning up any kind of owed taxes that you might have on that income. That if somebody's going to give you $100,000, how can I accept this $100,000 and not have to pay the taxes on it? Right? That's what laundering money means. It doesn't mean washing it with Tide. So I thought when I heard her say that the money was clean, it had been cleaned, it was wet, like it was washed, I just chuckled. And I thought, is she referring to laundered money, that the Adelsons were laundering the money? Is that what she's talking about? So I don't know about that part. I think it's rather amusing, but anyway, so apparently they're supposed to be so focused on the details of not getting caught that they're wearing surgical gloves. They're printing the paper off in offices not connected to them. And they're taking soap and water and cleaning each individual bill of money. Here's a question. How did they accomplish that if the money was stapled in stacks of 1,000? How do you wash the DNA off of your money if you've got it stapled together into stacks of 1,000? And I'm not being disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful to the prosecution. I'm not being disrespectful to the Tallahassee attorneys. I'm not being disrespectful to the people that are listening in those channels. I legitimately have questions. I don't understand this. And so if we have these people that are I don't know, so OCD about, I don't want to leave fingerprints, or I don't want to leave DNA, or whatever it is they're trying to do with their plastic gloves, this person being this careful will just meet a girl in a dental office that he sees a half a day every 3 weeks in June, and finally gets to the point in October that he asked her out, or sometime around October the 10th. And then 3 weeks later, they're at a Halloween party sitting in the car, and he says, oh, and by the way, did I tell you I've been shopping around for a hitman? It's so unlikely. If you are going to be that careful to wear gloves, you are not going to sit there with your face in full view and say, hey, babe, I need a hitman. It's very difficult to believe. Okay, now then. So now we're going to go to, this is Katie Magbanola's second proffer. All right. They are saying she's been found guilty, and they're saying, okay, if you are willing to cooperate, if you're willing to play ball, we might be able to help you. Not saying that we will, but you know, if you had some information that made our lives a lot easier trying to prosecute Charlie Adelson, then maybe we could help out, like offering you some probation, a little time off, whatever, right? So you would think that Katie Magbanoa would be very, 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 very motivated to deal, right? You'd think that she would be singing like a bird, singing like old Barry behind bars, all right? Well, I want you to watch this and you tell me, is this a woman who either is unmotivated to cooperate, or she does not know? She has not the information. She is trying to bullshit her way through this and try to get some special treatment, get some time off of her sentence. She either has to be ignorant, I don't mean dumb, ignorant of the information. She doesn't hold the information. She doesn't know the answers to what they're asking. Either she doesn't know, or she's unwilling to cooperate. And yet they've transferred her out of prison to bring her up to Leon County, and she's now being housed in the jail while she's being interviewed. So let's take a listen and hear how she accuses Charlie Adelson of ordering the hit on Dan Markel. Charlie said, I need to kill Dan. Because that's what we were told in the trial. That's what the jury heard.
Was not even like about remembering. It's just that like I said, you know, like when you guys had left from our initial interview, like you guys wanted me to remember things. And I told her, I was like, it's very difficult because it's like, I don't remember a lot of things. And I did mention to her that you guys want me to separate from things that I've learned and from, you know, like what did happen. And I'm like, there's really, if there's things that you guys can show me, you know, like something that'll jog my memory, because my brain's mush. Like it's very hard. And just this week alone, it's been very traumatic, even being back. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I've been stuck in confinement. I mean, I've literally, since I've been here for like the past 7 days, I've been out for like 2 hours.
Right. Okay.
2 hours off the whole, like.
Yeah, because they have you in confinement.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's start here. Okay. Separate, you know, the difference between
trying to
experience, what you've experienced, what you've talked to, what you've done, versus what you've heard from other people, or because those are two different kind of memories. When you experience something, you do it, you're involved in it, you're involved in the actions of it. That's a different kind of memory than something you just learn in a trial, or you just read in a book.
Yes.
You understand the difference between those two? Okay. Let's talk about those experiences, not the memories of the things you've seen and learned, but the experiences you had that led up to this murder.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I want, and I need you to kind of walk us through it. I know you gave us a little more than that, and you said I had never talked about this, so it was kind of hard at the last one.
Yeah.
So I need you to talk about that. Okay, so talk about those experiences. I know when you and Charlie started dating, we went through that timeline. Just walk me through those experiences, not the things that you remember reading.
Okay. Well, I mean, even reading stuff, it's like this is like things that like my attorney has like showed me. Like if she would show me like a text message, I'd be like, okay, I kind of, I would remember.
Right, and I understand that
situation
right now.
I'm not expecting you to remember text messages, exactly what you've texted someone. I'm not expecting you to remember verbatim the conversation you had, but this is a pretty big deal, a pretty big situation. This isn't a normal thing for any normal person to go through. that it's significant enough that you can remember if you had a conversation about hiring somebody, if you've had a conversation about how much money, or if you were going to get paid, you were going to be taken care of. Those are things you can remember. You don't have to
Now,
remember verbatim
notice-
what happened.
Yeah.
Notice the prosecutor's office just said, like if you're going to get taken care of or something. Notice those words, like you're going to get, like you're going to get paid or you're going to get taken care of, Pay attention.
How it happened, how it unfolded is what I want.
Okay. Well, that's where my whole dilemma has been, because of the whole situation where I told you about that paper.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the facts that's in that paper. And that's why I've always wanted
Okay.
to.
But the conversation leading up to that paper, before we even got to that paper, there had to be some kind of understanding before that paper was put in an envelope and then, what was it, your diaper bag or something?
Yes.
Yeah, there had to be a conversation leading up to that.
Well, yeah, like,
Okay.
where I told you
Right.
from Halloween, I think that's one of my first recollections of him even stating anything about hurting his brother-in-law, but that's not like what he had stated, like he was just saying that his sister's going through stuff, and that his sister was going through stuff, and just this is like within weeks or maybe months of just him just talking about it, but not really, like there wasn't really anything happening at that point until he had given that paper and then obviously.
Before he gave you.
So, it sounds like a little bit, and I can't read minds. I'm not omniscient or anything, but just my own reaction. When I go back and I listen to this right there, it kind of sounds like she's saying the first time that Charlie's really talking about the problems that his sister is having is Halloween night, right? And that begins to change until finally we end up with, Charlie asked me, do I know someone that will hurt him on Halloween night? But that's not what she just said. Of course, she's bullshitting. I don't believe to me, she sounds like someone who doesn't know
about hurting his brother-in-law, but that's not like what he had stated, like he was just saying that his sister's going through stuff, and
so she's just saying, and this is not in isolation, here's the whole video. If you want to go listen to the whole video, I'm not using it in isolation. I'm not using it out of context, any of that. She's saying, even hurting his brother-in-law, he just said that his sister was going through it and his family was going through it. And then as the prosecutor is talking, she begins picking up the prosecutor's words and begins molding her story. She's trying to give them something, in my opinion. She's trying to give them something that she doesn't know. Just like Lewis.
that his sister was going through stuff, and just this is like within weeks or maybe months of just him just talking about it, but not really, like there wasn't really anything happening at that point until he had given that paper and then obviously.
Before he gave you that paper.
And the paper was given at the first of the year. So 8 weeks, 12 weeks after Halloween. And now she's saying nothing was even said about hurting him until then? That doesn't make sense at all.
He had to know something, that you had something lined up or you could make something happen.
Well, that's where my whole confusion was, that like, why would he even like have trusted me with something like this? Or
you had to give him something to make him trust you. You had to say something to make him think that you could make this happen for him.
Well, that's where like my concerns are too. Like my question, not concerns, but like my questions, because of like, did he know about Sigfredo? Like, how much did he know about Sigfredo? I mean, I'm pretty sure I've spoken about Sigfredo, but like just to express like what I've been going through with him.
When we were down and Ocala and spoke to you,
yeah,
you said he put it in the bag and told you not to touch it, to give it to him.
The letter.
Okay. So there had already been a conversation for him to know that you had with him, you had with Charlie.
Yes.
For him to know that you were going to be given this information and Sigfredo's going to be taking care of it. get to that. That's the
Taking care
conversation
of it.
I want to hear about.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's not like one specific probably conversation. It's through the times like, oh, do you know somebody that can do this?
Okay,
Yeah.
tell me details about all those different times. Best details you can remember.
That's what sticks out to my head is the Halloween. That's probably one of the ones that stick out when he mentioned that to me about
What did he
his
mention?
about his sister having a hard time with her husband. And then from there, he probably
what? That Halloween is really one of the times that maybe he said something. Okay, what did he say? About his sister was having trouble, and then probably from there he said, I ask you, is this a real memory, or is she picking up on context clues? Is she listening carefully to this prosecutor and trying to develop a story? She was constantly asking to talk to Sigfrido. She was constantly asking to see the evidence. She was constantly asking to read the text from Sigfrido. She doesn't know. This thing that she's trying to develop to say that Charlie Adelson did this, she doesn't know. There's no, and I think it's because Charlie wasn't involved. I think that's what's got her all messed up, is that Charlie wasn't involved. I think this came from Wendy and Donna. I cannot get the picture of them laying on the beach. I can't get that out of my mind. Wendy is cozied up to Katie Magbanoa, skin against skin, leaning against her in this photograph. She doesn't know how to say what Charlie did. She doesn't know how to implicate Charlie. She doesn't know what they have gathered on Charlie. So she's in dangerous territory. She's in dangerous territory that if what they want is for her to spill the goods on Charlie, but Charlie didn't have anything to do with it, so she doesn't know what the story needs to be. And if she's not careful, she's going to actually reveal that it was actually Wendy and Donna. And then we don't know what happens. Maybe there's a trust fund for her kids. Maybe there's money been hid out there to buy her silence. We don't know what I'm guessing. I don't know. But I think what I'm not guessing at is she has no idea what to say about Charlie and what Charlie did. She's listening carefully to the words that the prosecutor is saying, and she's trying to invent a story that will make them happy and hopefully get her some time off. I'll be quiet now.
I mean, like, he's like, oh, I need somebody that, that can take care of this. And from there, like, he just probably kept talking and talking about it.
What? Someone that can take care of this. Now, how many times from the beginning of this day alone, not to mention the other times, but how many times just here has this prosecutor said, well, get it taken care of, pay for it or get it taken care of? Now Katie's using that same exact verbiage. She doesn't know what to say about Charlie because she didn't deal with Charlie when it came to the death of Dan Markel.
But
what did he mention?
About his sister having a hard time with her husband. And then from there, he probably he's like, oh, I need somebody that, that can take care of this. And from there, like, he just probably kept talking and talking about it. And then I don't ever remember saying specifically Oh, that, yeah, I had somebody for this, but not saying that it's Sigfredo.
Okay.
And I don't know when I had approached Sigfredo about it to tell him about it, but obviously I never said it was for Charlie.
Right. I understand that. You probably kept both of them in the dark as
Yeah.
to who.
Yeah.
But the conversation of the planning of it, that what was going to happen. He says, I need you to take care of this, take care of something. I need you to find somebody to do this. Okay, what was he saying take care of? Like, I know we discussed it.
Yeah, like under my assumption at that time, it was, I mean, to beat up this guy that's giving his sister a hard time.
Okay, her assumption. She assumed that he meant beat him up when he sat in the car on Halloween 3 weeks after they first had their first date and said, hey, do you know anybody that I can get to take care of my brother-in-law? Oh, okay, so Dr. Charlie, I assume you mean beat him up. And then probably, he just kept saying it. And then I just, I don't really know. That's where I keep having a problem. But maybe I just, started thinking, I don't know. That's my thing, But maybe you could let me see what he said. Let me see the evidence so I can see. It's a miscarriage of justice, y'all.
Okay. Don't know when it transpired from that to him getting murdered. And that's why I was confused with the whole situation.
And that's where she doesn't know where it goes from her assuming it's going to be beaten up to murder. And that's where she's a little confused. I have a question for you guys. Realistically, I want you to sit quietly in your own mind and give this some thought. If your husband or your wife or your longtime boyfriend or girlfriend, if they said to you, I am really sick and tired of dealing with my ex. They have made my life miserable. I'm so sick of being in the court, dealing with all of their crap. I think I'm gonna hire somebody to take care of things. I think I'm gonna hire somebody to fix this problem for me, and then once he's gone forever, then I won't have to ever think about him or deal with him ever again. How much do you think I need to pay to get someone to kill my ex? Question. How many of you are going to forget that conversation? How many of you are going to even forget when the conversation happened? And how many of you are going to say, are you crazy? What did you just say to me? No, we're not going to hire anybody to just take care of it. You're going to the hospital. Clearly you are not okay. This is not appropriate conversation. Absolutely not. And then you're going to get on the phone and start making phone calls to get some help for your longtime boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever. If someone says to you that in a serious manner that they are looking to hire someone to pay money to take the life of another human being, you don't just overlook that. You don't just forget when that might have happened. Do you know what I mean? If you agree, put a 1. If you disagree, put a 2. I would totally agree, DB. I think that is probably the greatest description of this woman. And also Lewis, Katie lived her life as an opportunist. I do think that they did. I think they were both opportunists. I think Lewis ended up taking this bullshit story and getting himself placed into a cushy federal penitentiary with all of the comforts that offers. I'm not even really convinced about anything that they said. Their testimonies were so absurd. Exactly, DB. Never look at them the same way again. Absolutely not. That would be so surreal, so disturbing. Clearly, your spouse or friend, whomever, clearly they're not okay. And you would absolutely remember that conversation. You would be telling people 30 years later, you would be telling people about that conversation with your ex-wife, that they were going to hire somebody to knock someone off. You'd be like, can you believe that? I was freaking out. Not, oh, well, I'm not really sure. Probably I just did this, and then maybe I did that.
Are a hard time.
Okay.
Don't know when it transpired from that to him getting murdered. And that's why I was confused with the whole situation. And I don't know when I learned about him being murdered till later on.
So here's my thing. So a murder happened.
Yeah.
There is no communication between Sigfredo and Charlie. The only communication back and forth between them and Sigfredo, the Adelsons and Sigfredo, which is really Charlie, right, is you. Okay. So at some point, there's got to be a communication going through you to Sigfredo to let him know it's a murder. Charlie.
And that's not true either. That is simply not right. And the reason that I say that that's not true is because we actually have a photograph that has Katie Magbanoa skin to skin with Wendy Adelson. So no, it's not true that Charlie was the only go-between.
He understood that that's what he wanted. Sigfredo understood that that's what he wanted. And you're saying you're the only in-between of those two. And you're saying you don't understand that that's what that's what.
Because I didn't know what was like written in that paper. Like that's where like I'm confused about, and that's where I didn't know about, and that's why it's still like, and I know I get it. It's hard to understand it, but this is my whole dilemma of the whole situation since day one, because I'm not getting the answers, and I've been kept out of the loop too. But I am the go-between, and I am, like going back and forth with them. But but you see even my confusions with my phone calls. It's not. I don't know details or anything about it.
Right. Okay. So after the murder, after we did the wiretap and all that stuff.
Yes.
You and Charlie met up multiple times. Last time we met, you would only tell us about the stuff that you knew we knew that was on recording. There was a couple conversations that you and Charlie met up and that you had that we know because we had surveillance. We know that you guys had those conversations, and you have yet to tell us what happened in those. That's after the murder. That's after you know that Sigfredo's been arrested. That's after you know that the cat's out of the bag. You guys are discussing this. Okay. So at that point, tell me how that conversation went. Because at that point, Dan Markel is dead because it's been 2 years past him being killed. Okay. He's already dead at that point. So you knew he was dead not long after it happened, when it all hit the news, I'm sure.
When it hit the news when Sigfredo got arrested?
I'm talking about after you knew Dan Markel was dead before Sigfredo got arrested.
I don't think I knew that he was dead until...
You went to Charlie's house the night that they got back and picked up the money to pay them and knew it was done. You told us that at Ocala.
Okay, this is...
I'm telling you, this is... She had... Look, here's another part of this. She has exactly 0 reasons to protect Charlie Adelson. There's no benefit at all for her to protect Charlie Adelson. None. And yet she's lying. She's lying her ass off. She's so nervous during this whole interview. When she swallows, you can hear her gulp. So the question is, why is she so nervous? She's already been found guilty. The only thing that can happen for her to turn on Charlie is good. Why isn't she singing like a bird? Why? Why is she lying to this prosecutor? Because Charlie wasn't the guy. Now, maybe they set him up. Maybe she knowingly went to his house with the idea, okay, if they're on to us, we'll be able to pin it on Charlie. Keep the attention on Charlie. Meet Charlie. Maybe, I mean, that's getting pretty Hollywood-ish, Lifetime TV type of stuff. But do you have a better theory on why she's in this particular situation? She's already been tried. She's already been found guilty. She's already serving her sentence. The other two, they're in jail, already done. There is absolutely no benefit to protecting Charlie Adelson. None. Unless he simply had nothing to do with it. That he was the patsy. That he was set up to look like the guilty party. By his sister, in my opinion.
Because the bump was 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years after. The bump was 2 years after. So I'm saying now we're at the bump. So you already knew this is 2 years after. You know this man was killed. You know Sigfredo killed him for Charlie at this point. Whether you
No, I didn't know that.
At that point, you know.
Now listen to the prosecutor here. She is now telling Katie what Katie knows. And Katie's going, I don't know those things. No, I don't. If she knew them, why isn't she talking freely with the prosecutor about them? Because she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She wants to see the evidence. She needs more information so she can try to weave a story that will implicate Charlie, that will be believable and will match the rest of the evidence. But she doesn't know anything. They kept it all away from her.
I don't think I knew that he was dead until
You went to Charlie's house the night that they got back and picked up the money to pay them and knew it was done. You told us that at Ocala.
Okay, this is because the bump was 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years after. The bump was 2 years
okay.
after.
Okay, excuse me, Katie. She's just said to you, you did know Dan Markell was dead because the night of the murder, you showed up at Charlie's house. And then Charlie told us that you spent the night with him at his house. And when you left, you took the money that was going to be used to pay the two hitmen. Right? That's what they're talking about. She's going, no, I didn't even know he was dead. I didn't even know that he was dead. And the prosecutor gets mad and says, you did know. You told us in Ocala that you knew because you actually showed up at Charlie's house that night within a few hours of Dan Markell getting shot or whatever. So why is it that when they're talking about her showing up at Charlie's house the night of the shooting, why does she then pivot to, oh yeah, and it was 2 years since the bump? Okay. It's the craziest thing to listen to this woman. She doesn't know anything. Listen.
When it all hit the news, I'm sure.
When it hit the news when Sigfredo got arrested?
I'm talking about after you knew Dan Markell was dead before Sigfredo got arrested.
I don't think I knew that he was dead until
You went to Charlie's house the night that they got back and picked up the money to pay them and knew it was done. You told us that at Ocala.
okay, this is
Wow.
because the bump was 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years after. The bump was 2 years after. So I'm saying now we're at the bump. So you already
Well,
knew.
it has
This is
nothing
2
to
years
do with
after.
it.
You know this man was killed. You know Sigfredo killed him for Charlie at this point. Whether you
No, I didn't know that.
at that
it
point
was-
you know.
it was Sigfredo. I never knew that it was Sigfredo.
Well, Sigfredo and Luis, right? You knew the two of them.
I didn't know. That's the problem, that I never knew, because I gave that paper to Sigfredo. Under my assumption, I thought Sigfredo, why would, that's why when I, during the trial and I'm seeing that he was up in Tallahassee and all of that, it's like, why would he be the one? I would think that he would just give it off to somebody else, or he never spoke to me about that. And that's why I was so adamant about wanting to speak to him, because I wanted answers myself, but that never happened.
Okay. So you mean to tell me that you had no clue that he came up to Tallahassee? I'm pretty sure there was a phone call that after they did it, I think, was it Ocala or Gainesville? Something like that. They stopped and they called and they had a phone call with you on the way back down to South Florida from Tallahassee right after the murder.
He never told me that he was going to Tallahassee. Sigfredo doesn't tell me these things.
Now she's saying not only did she not know that Dan Markel was dead, that she didn't know that Sigfredo went to Tallahassee twice. This is the strength. I do not understand how this prosecutor's office proceeded with her being a part of this prosecution. It is so easily discernible that she is lying or completely ignorant. I mean, I would have put her on a lie detector, a polygraph. I would have put her on a polygraph. It's crazy. This proffer is nuts, in my opinion.
Doesn't tell me where he goes, what he does. It's not even that it was this situation, but whenever he does anything, me and Sigfredo have always been in and out of each other's lives.
Right.
When it was good, like I told you, it was good. But when it was bad, I didn't care. I had 2 kids that I was taking care of. And that's what I'm saying. I don't have certain answers that I wish I had, or else this interview would be a lot easier and I would be able to provide you guys with the information that you need.
Okay. All right, then how did you know to go to Charlie's house to pick up the money?
That day.
Those are the things that we kind of need. How did you know to go to Charlie's house to pick up the money that night? How did you know that?
Well, Charlie called me to have dinner with him or meet up with him that night.
Okay. But how Charlie wouldn't know without somehow Sigfredo, whether you knew it was Sigfredo that did it or not, somehow.
She got real close, didn't she? You can hear her thinking, but Charlie wouldn't know unless you told him.
How did you know that?
Well, Charlie called me to have dinner with him or meet up with him that night.
Okay. But how Charlie wouldn't know without.
Exactly. They knew that this is not a good prosecution. I don't mean unskilled. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about using this woman, using her testimony against Charlie. It's just fantasy. It's not even real.
Somehow Sigfredo, whether you knew it was Sigfredo that did it or not, somehow Sigfredo had to reach out to you because neither one of him nor Charlie had any communication with each other.
We already had this conversation. You went and met with Sigfredo when he got back, and then you went to Charlie's house. The cell phone records show you go up there and meet with him.
Okay, if I met up with
this conversation, and you still deny it.
I'm not. It's not that.
Now they're using the man to put pressure on her, whip her into shape, right? It's just so frustrating.
I'm denying the situation.
The reason I want to be clear, the reason that it is so frustrating is this. This is a woman. You're looking at someone here who has every reason in the world to cooperate with this prosecution. She has every reason. There's no reason not to cooperate. None. She's been convicted. Her husband's been convicted. They're all gone. They've all gone down the river. Now they're going after Charlie Adelson, Wendy, Donna, whoever. Okay? She is, there's no one to protect. There's no one to protect. Why isn't she telling them the story if she knows it?
Yeah. All right, hang on a second. Let's step out.
Okay, now they're going to go out for a long time. You can assume that they're doing this to sort of turn up the pressure on her, make her feel like she's about to lose her shot at, special treatment or whatever. Okay, let me go back here. And now they'll come back in hoping that she'll be ready to talk, right? That's the idea. And she looks like a woman who's got the weight of the world on her shoulders. Look at her. Look at her body language. This woman is burdened. But it doesn't make sense because all she's got to do is give them the goods on Charlie, and then she gets some time off of her sentence. So why isn't she talking?
Sir, do you mind? I don't know if this can be done, but if I could speak to Jason really quick right now.
Okay.
Please.
I'm assuming
I
that
feel like I'm about to faint right now.
is Jason maybe her attorney. Why are you feeling like you're gonna faint? What is happening here? I feel like I'm not communicating what's in my head. If she had the knowledge, if she had the information on Charlie, right? And that's what the assumption is that she does because he's been found guilty, correct? So if she had the information on Charlie, what would be causing her so much fear? Why is she so nervous? If she had what they want, wouldn't she be motivated to give it to them because they can help her, they can make her life better, they can help her with some of this legal tragedy, right? But she's not doing that at all. She, in fact, to even say, well, I don't think I knew that Dan Markel was dead. What? Their story, the story that Georgia Kappelman presented to the jury said Katie rushed over to pick up the money to pay the hitmen. That is, and Lewis, the other liar, after they murdered Dan Markel, they're driving down the highway headed back to Tallahassee, and Lewis says that that Sigfrido calls Katie and says it's done, and he can hear Katie on the other end, and she says, I know. This makes absolutely just there's none of this is reasonable. It's not logical. The woman has every reason in the world to cooperate with Georgia Kappelman's team. She has every reason. I'm telling you, she should be spilling her guts about everything Charlie did connected to the death of his brother-in-law. But what if he didn't do anything? What if Donna Adelson, there was a phone call and she's talking about working with the attorneys and getting the trust funds in order for the kids, quote unquote. Is that it? Was it Wendy and Donna that did this? And the payoff, the thing that Katie is protecting, is her children having financial resources? Is that what she's afraid of messing up? Some very strange stuff. And I guess Jason must be her attorney, huh? She's like, oh God, here they come.
I just,
She wants
it's
to,
difficult
she wants to
to
run.
speak about, like, I really, I don't even want to go through this all over again. And I feel comfortable talking to you and Miss Bennett, but every single time I feel like there's just this tension. And I
What
don't
if I
want to.
just let Sherry sit here? What if we just let Sherry talk to you? And then I understand talking to three of us is stressful. If the biggest thing is what we're discussing is either just pulling the plug and saying we're done with this, or how to move forward. What if we send Sherry and just you and Sherry talk? Would that be better?
I mean, yeah, it's just that I don't want to be like, this is my whole situation is like, I feel like it's not that I'm getting cornered, but it's like,
It's not getting cornered.
It's not like, I know what I know.
That's right.
And I feel like some type of pressure of like, okay, that I should know more. If I knew more, this would be.
What do you think about that? She just voiced what we've been saying. This may be the first time since this interview started, this may be the first time that she's actually voicing truth. I feel pressured. I feel pressured. I only know what I know. I can't give you any more than that. She's saying that to them. And it's like, okay, well, maybe Ms. Magbanoa, you feel pressured because we are in fact pressuring you, and we're trying to lead you to what we want you to tell us, right? And she is occasionally picking up on phrases and trying to use those phrases, but she's in over her head. She knows she is. This is painful to watch, y'all. And listen, I totally agree, Justice Jane. Wendy did this, not Donna. Donna's not the ringleader. Wendy conceived of this. You want to know why I think Wendy conceived of this? Because Wendy threw her brother to the wolves within minutes of sitting down in that chair at the police station, didn't she? It's Wendy that told the joke. It's Wendy's friend, Jeffrey Lacoste, who said, well, Wendy was so upset and she told me that her brother was looking for a hitman. Wendy told him that her brother was such a character that he had friends on both sides of the track. It was Wendy. You want to know what Donna's role was? Donna is the bad guy, not B-A-D, B-A-G. She's got the money. Donna's got the money, right? And how dumb are you? Let me ask you this. How dumb are you as a conspirator to commit murder? You're wearing gloves, you're printing stuff in a different office, you're laundering your money with Tide and warm water. But then you are going to write a series of checks to one of the conspirators that happens to be the link to the hitman, to the gunman. Really? Or was that meant, again, to implicate Charlie? Wendy did this. Wendy is puppet master, in my opinion. Wendy is puppet master. Dear old mommy paid the bill because she wanted the grandkids there with her in Miami or in South Florida. And Charlie's the scapegoat. Charlie's always the scapegoat. Charlie has spent his entire life as scapegoat within the Adelson family. He's the perfect scapegoat in every way. He's the middle child, you know. It's crazy. Charlie is innocent.
A lot easier, and this would be like, okay, that, and not like, I know what I know. And I feel like some type of pressure of like, okay, that I should know more. If I knew more, this would be a lot easier, and this would be this would be.
I don't think it's as much as knowing. I think it's you understanding where your responsibility was in this situation.
Yes.
Oh, what? You don't think that it's about what she knows? It's actually about your responsibility in this and what you now owe to us. It's about you being ready to pay up, little girl. Oh, excuse me, Mr. Prosecutor person. I think you've got that completely backwards. I think this proffer deal, I think this was supposed to be everything about what Katie knows. The way it goes is she has information that you want. And so she gives and tells every single thing she knows about Charlie Adelson. And then you guys on the prosecution team, you decide how to use it best to send Charlie Adelson to jail. And then you give Katie some kind of reward. That's what a proffer is. What the hell do you mean it's not about what Katie knows? We don't really care what you know, Katie. It's just we want to make sure you understand your level of involvement, the level of responsibility that you have towards us. Exactly what are you willing to do to help us, Katie? We don't care what you know. We just want to know how motivated you are to help us. This is disgusting.
And instead of minimizing it or putting it as
and that's the thing. I don't want to like downplay it or anything, but I just don't want to wait.
You've watched this for 6 years now. At this point, you've seen it. You've talked to everybody. We've tried this case twice, and Sherry went through the whole separating what you see and what you did and what you know, or what you learned. When there's things that we can put you in a place, or we can put you on a phone call, or we can put you in a situation.
He's talking about place.
Don't minimize it as, I guess I was doing this. Tell what it was. Just talk about what was going on. But that's
so when we tell you what you were doing, you can't say, well, maybe. I mean, I guess I don't really remember, but I guess if you say so. Which is what she's been saying, right? He's telling her right here, no. Play ball, Katie. Listen up. When we can place you on a phone call and we tell you what you were doing or what you were thinking or what you were saying, then you can't say, well, maybe. You have to say, yes. I was on the phone call, and this is what I thought. He just said it. I'm not making this up. And I know that you, Dan Mark, I Hate All People, Adelson fan club. I know that this is going to really be something else for you to dislike me about. But listen to the way he speaks to her. What else could it mean?
You've talked to everybody.
Like downplay it or anything, but I just don't want to wait.
You've watched this for 6 years now. At this point, you've seen it. You've talked to everybody. We've tried this case twice, and Sherry went through the whole separating what you see and what you did and what you know, or what you learned. When there's things that we can put you in a place, or we can put you on a phone call, or we can put you in a situation. Don't minimize it as, I guess I was doing this. Tell what it was. Just talk about what was going on.
But that's where my problem is that, yeah, like, okay, now like he's like, oh, we already spoke about this. Okay, but it's like at this point I'm here like, well, I wish that like, is there any way where it's like you can kind of like show me that I'm like, we could talk about it more. This is how I discussed it.
Just show me the evidence. If you'll just show me what you know about Charlie, then I'll know what to say. But I myself, I don't know a damn thing about Charlie, because what you're saying happened between me and Charlie never existed.
things when
Well,
I'm
showing you, I mean, we could probably go through the years and tell you in 2014, this phone call occurred, or this meeting occurred, this situation occurred. Instead of, well, I guess that's what this was. That's when this occurred. That's what we're looking for from you, not not you guessing that makes sense or making it fit for us. If we ask you a specific question, just give the direct answer.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to let Sherry come in here. So it's not an intimidating situation. I'm just going to let her talk to you for a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's just,
It's a lot.
It's a lot, and like I said,
I know.
it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah,
I get that.
it's very like intimidating, and I just don't want to upset anybody anymore, and I just want to get this over with already.
Right.
I keep having to relive this over and over and over.
Right. This is that one decision you make that shaped your whole life, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We don't want to have to keep coming back and talking to you. We're not
Believe
gonna.
me, and I don't want to keep coming
Okay.
back. Yeah.
But what we do want is we want the truth,
Yes, ma'am.
no matter what, the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
So going forward, let's just start from the beginning, like we tried just a minute ago.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
have just me in here at this point, so hopefully it's a little more comfortable for you. Okay. Start from the beginning. I know y'all started dating, and you had told us previously when we came to Ocala that he almost immediately was constantly venting to you about his sister's issues.
Yes.
Okay, walk me through all that again.
Well, yeah, like that. That's why.
I'm not sure that's what she said. I'm not going to take issue with it, but I don't think that's what she said. I think it's so.
That's a lot of the situation where it's, I even questioned you guys, like, why would he have trusted me, and why is he telling me all of this? But he's been looking for somebody for a long time already.
Right.
But
He's been looking for someone for a long time already. Okay, Katie started working at SoFi June of 2013. They began dating October the 10th, 2013. Wendy filed for divorce September of 2012. So 1 year before the whole Halloween thing, that's when they filed for divorce. Is that looking for a long time? I mean, even if he said, hey, I'll find a hitman when you file for divorce. Remember, up until October 2012, Dan Markell thought that he was Mr. Sunshine. He had his kids, he had his wife, he had his beautiful house, he had his fancy job. He was doing very interesting work in New York. Nothing was wrong in September of 2012. Nothing was wrong in September 2012. Nothing was wrong. Wendy is the one that filed for divorce. She filed for divorce 2012. The first thing to do was to try to, get a visitation schedule and such all in order. That went through. Finally, the divorce is final July 2013, which is when Katie started working for SoFi. But she didn't even start dating Charlie until October. What do you mean he'd been looking for someone for a long time? No, he hadn't. That's just nonsense.
It's not how he played it out to me in the beginning. He's just talking about that his sister is going through it with her husband, and that his parents have been going through it too. Like this man has been very stressful to their life.
Right.
So, and that's a specific time that I remember was Halloween. And I didn't even remember that till way later on when I was talking to Chris. And I was like, that was like a significant moment where I could remember him asking about like, oh, would I know somebody that could potentially harm this person? And I was like, okay, yeah. But never saying anything about Sigfredo or whatever, because I haven't even mentioned, obviously, to Sigfredo anything about it.
Right. Okay. And I get that. And I fully believe that you didn't share the names of who you were having everybody do it for. I understand that completely. And I get why you would keep that separate. Yeah. Those are two people in your life, that, especially Sigfredo being the father of your children. So I get that. So we have that separate.
Yes,
I understand that you didn't tell him it was Sigfredo. You didn't tell Sigfredo it was for Charlie.
Yes, ma'am.
I understood that. So we got that cleared up.
Yes, ma'am.
So just going through and talking. Let's go through the fact that so Halloween is the mark that really sticks in your head, right?
And that was 2013. So that was very I must have met this man like for the past like 2-3 weeks. Like I just started working in Sophie Dental, so it was fairly new.
Okay, so 2013 of October 2013 Halloween party.
Yes, ma'am.
You guys are at. He said potentially harm this man.
Yes, ma'am.
At what point was that it was going to be more than just hurting him?
For him,
yes.
or like for my understanding.
For you, because at some point you knew.
That's
he didn't straight out say it, but it was an understanding.
Yeah.
At what point was it the understanding that that's what was happening?
That's probably not even until later on, and I can't.
Okay, just walk me through that part.
Okay.
So walk me through. So you tell him at the Halloween party.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I got someone that can take care of this for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then so at that point he starts probably making the moves and trying to. You guys start having conversations and making it roll. Yeah. I understand you're still not telling him it's Sigfredo. He has no clue about that. So start me from there, from the Halloween party. After you tell him yes, how does it start evolving into what it turned out to?
I'm pretty sure he just kept mentioning, like, do you know somebody? And I just kept saying, yeah, but never I don't know when I went to Sigfredo and told him, I was like, hey, like, I need you to like have this done, like get somebody beat up, but not him. Like, that's why it's never my understanding, because Sigfredo, it's like,
I would tell him,
yes, of course. Yeah. Like, so, and like I said, it was just to harm this person, I guess, to get him, it's not to that point, because like I said, like, it's not like he straight off told me that he wanted this person to die or get murdered.
Oh, what? What? You want to say that again, Katie?
Making the moves and trying to, you guys start having conversations and making it roll. Yeah. I understand you're still not telling him it's Sigfredo. He has no clue about that. So start me from there, from the Halloween party. After you tell him yes, how does it start evolving into what it turned out to?
I'm pretty sure he just kept mentioning, like, do you know somebody? And I just kept saying, yeah, but never I don't know when I went to Sigfredo and told him, I was like, hey, like, I need you to like have this done, like get somebody beat up, but not him. Like, that's why it's never my understanding, because Sigfredo, it's like, I would tell him, yes, of course. Yeah. Like, so, and like I said, it was just to harm this person, I guess, to get him, it's not to that point, because like I said, like, it's not like he straight off told me that he wanted this person to die or get murdered, or else I would have been like,
all right. So what happens then? What do you do then? You put her on a polygraph? You ask her under polygraph, you ask her, did Charlie Adelson say that Dan Markell needed to die? Or it'd be better if he was 6 feet under? Did he say anything alluding to death? She says over and over and over again, Charlie never said that. Charlie never said that he had to die. Right? Charlie never said that. She says it over and over and over. Now listen to this.
Come up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
What? Good gracious. Isn't that interesting how that happened? Who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel? Charlie did. Charlie did. You just heard her say. Charlie never said or suggested that Dan Markel had to be killed. His brother-in-law had to die. And that's not the only time in that whole proffer that she says that. The proffer's quite long. It is an hour and a half, 2 hours, maybe. Oh, no. Wrong. Sorry. Yeah, about 2 hours. She keeps saying it. She keeps saying he didn't say that he had to die. He didn't say he wanted him killed. He said he wanted him beat up. He said he wanted him to leave his sister alone. He said he wanted him taken care of, which was actually the words of the prosecutor. Charlie never said to kill Dan. Sorry.
So Sigfredo Garcia, who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
So Sigfredo Garcia didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
Luis Rivera didn't come up with the idea?
No, ma'am, he did not.
When did the defendant first bring this idea up to you?
My first recollection was around Halloween of 2013.
Around Halloween or on the actual?
On Halloween, yes, ma'am.
All right. What's your recollection of how that came up?
We were at a Halloween party in Lincoln Road, and right before we were about to go, he got in the car with me and he asked me a question.
What was the question?
Do you know anybody that can harm someone?
And did you know anybody that could harm someone?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Who was that?
Sigfredo.
Who came up with the idea to kill Dan Markel?
Charlie.
It's just incredible. Really, really incredible. It's like magic. It's like magic.
Like, why is this, it's why are you even asking me this? And why is it that this is happening? But with Charlie, he just he got in my head and he just kept saying it over and over and over. And I didn't really react to it that fast or whatever. And I don't know how long of a span it was until I was like, oh, okay, that I mentioned it to Sigfredo. I don't remember.
All right, so it took a while before you mentioned it to Sigfredo.
Yeah.
Because you thought I know you said before.
He probably was just like talking, playing around.
But he kept on. He kept on.
Yeah, he was probably just like kidding around. You're claiming, Katie, that Charlie said, I need to hire someone to kill a guy that's being mean to my sister. And I'm gonna make it worth your time. I'm gonna give you some cash. You're gonna make money off of this. And now she's sitting there in this office going, oh, well, you know how Charlie is. He's probably just like playing around and joking because that's just the kind of guy Charlie is. He'd give you the shirt off his back.
Like, I need you to like have this done, like get somebody beat up, but not him. Like, that's why it's never my understanding because Alfredo, it's like,
you expect him to get somebody.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Like, so, I mean, and like I said, it was just to harm this person, I guess, to get him, it's not to that point because like I said, like, it's not like he straight off told me that he wanted this person to die or get murdered, or else I would have been like, why is this, it's why are you even asking me this? And why is it that this is happening? But with Charlie, he got in my head and he just kept saying it over and over and over. And like I said, like I didn't.
But what was he saying? Because you just said that he did not say this guy needs to be killed or murdered. You were very clear of all the things that you've said. This is the one moment that you're saying something with conviction. It's not like Charlie said the guy needed to die or be murdered. And then you go on and say, well, probably he was just like joking around. He got in my head. This is so insane.
Really react to it that fast or whatever. And I don't know how long of a span it was until I was like, oh, okay, you know, that I mentioned it to Sigfredo.
Well, it didn't have to be too long of a span, Katie, because supposedly the first time it's mentioned is Halloween. And then the faded letter in the diaper bag, that happens the first part of January. So 8 weeks, 10 weeks. What kind of ethical law enforcement person would ever accept this type of statement as fact sufficient to put someone in jail for the rest of their life? What kind of principled, ethical attorney would do that?
I don't remember.
All right, so it took a while before you mentioned it to Sigfredo.
Yeah.
Because you thought I know you said before.
He probably was just like playing around.
But he kept on. He kept coming to you. After you said, yes, you have someone, he kept coming to you. Coming to you. Am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So he kept coming to you. And you said later on, it was at some point later that you realized that he was meaning kill this man instead of harm him.
But that's where I'm kind of confused with the time frame, because unless like I'm just not wanting to just wrap my head around like that somebody's telling me, you know, to harm somebody, but it's when did it transpire from him getting beat up to him getting murdered?
Did he ever say he?
Yeah, when did that happen, Katie? All you keep saying is that it didn't happen, that Charlie didn't say those words. Where did it come from?
Wanted him beat up, or he just said he wants him taken
care of.
That was his exact words, was taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay. So he wants him taken care of. And you said your understanding of that initially was that he wanted him just beat up.
Yeah.
Okay. At what point?
That's not what was said. That is a rewriting of history.
Your own understanding of it. Like it was before Sigfredo did what he did. Even though you didn't know what Sigfredo doing, you thought he was hiring someone. It was before Dan Markel died. Somewhere you understood that it was.
It's somewhere around that time. It had to have transpired to him getting taken care of, so that he's not in the life of.
So there's your picture, right? The story that Georgia wants or did push. The story is that there could only be one segue between Katie, the bad girl, and the hitmen. And that was, or I'm sorry, I've got that wrong. That there was only one connection between the hitmen and the payoff, right? There was only one connection, that had to be Katie. That Katie would connect Charlie, the money man, to the trigger man, right? That's not true at all. That's not true at all. Look at how comfortable these people are together. And the story that then comes out later from Sigfredo, or from Lewis, really, not Sigfredo, but Lewis, story that comes out later is that this woman was being, mistreated by her ex-husband, and he took her kids away. And that they had to kill him so that the lady could get her kids back. Don't you think that sounds like a girl story? And regardless of what it, conjecture and such, the fact of the matter is they're in an office here She's already been found guilty. Sigfrido's already been found guilty. They have no benefit at all now for keeping secrets. And she could actually get something good for herself or Sigfrido by spilling the beans on Charlie. This is a terrible job of spilling the beans. She is behaving like a woman that doesn't know a damn thing about Charlie Adelson and his involvement in this thing.
Wendy anymore, or their, you know, for
That
their
he is
lives.
dead.
Yes.
Okay. So before the murder happened, you had an understanding that he was going to die.
That's what, I mean.
I know he didn't tell you specifically.
Yeah. Like,
but that's what I'm trying.
You think it's a good prosecutor that would listen to this proffer and just sort of use the vagueness, the lack of detail to construct her own narrative with no concern for whether or not she may be putting innocent people in jail, in prison? I don't think that's a good prosecutor. I asked what kind of principled, ethical prosecutor would do that. That's different. An opportunistic prosecutor might, but there's no reason at all to believe anything that's coming out of this girl's mouth. This is a disturbing display. She doesn't act like she has any idea what she's talking about.
That's the part I need. So I need you to try to focus on that part. I know he didn't say those exact words, but there was a mutual understanding. You knew that before the murder happened, you knew that this man was going to be killed.
I guess so. Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know.
I guess
it's hard for me to like, not like admit to that situation, but it's like, when did that happen? And why was, you know, like for me to like,
it's hard words
agree
to hear.
with that.
It's hard words to hear, and you're probably beating yourself up. You're like, how?
You don't know if she's beating herself up. You're just feeding her a line. You're molding her into a witness. You don't know what's wrong with her. You don't know why she won't talk. Maybe she's not talking, not because she's beating herself up or feels guilty because she was a part of a man losing his life. Maybe she doesn't know what you guys want her to say because Charlie wasn't there.
How did I know this was going to happen? Because you knew. How did you know this was going to happen? And then you still pushed forward and allowed it to happen and was that middle person. I think that's the part that you're battling yourself with.
Yes.
Okay, we got to get past the battling yourself because right now we're in a position where we're trying, you're convicted, you're where you are, but we're trying to see what you can get out of this, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
But we want nothing but the truth. And they're not, they're not making any promises. They're not doing anything for you.
I completely understand.
You're not giving them anything to even make them want to even think about doing that, okay? All we need is the truth, because at this point, it's about clearing your conscience too, right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's a big part of it. You don't want, when your kids look at it.
It's just the whole it's confusing, and I've suppressed it, and like I said, like I've been in this battle mode of going through the first trial with Sigfrido, and then another trial, which I never wanted to go through that other trial. That's why, I'm pretty sure you guys heard that conversation that I had with Sigfrido, that it's like,
you just want to be done with it.
I just want to be done with it, and I just want him to come forth with it.
Right.
And that's why I was so.
Him? What do you want What do you want Sigfrido to come forth with? You're the great star of the whole story. You're the one who was the girlfriend of the money man. You're the one that has all the information about Charlie. What do you mean you want Sigfrido to come forward? You're the one that paid Sigfrido.
So adamant about wanting to speak to him because he kept a lot of things from me, and me learning a lot of things that's happening.
Aside from him keeping from what he did and how he did, we're wanting to hear from you, your part of it,
exactly,
and how that middle man thing works. Okay, because you are that one person that went from Charlie to Sigfredo.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, is that right? Are you sure about that? Because there's a photograph right here on the screen that shows there's someone else that could have been there. Just crazy.
Okay, at some point you understood that murder was going to happen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That was
before
probably-
it happened.
I believe so.
I believe so too.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to happen. Now in your head, maybe you weren't fully processing it. That's okay, but you knew. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
When you knew that, you also knew that there was going to. It is, but we got to get past that. Okay. There's nobody in here is judging you. Okay. I'm not here judging.
I've already been judged.
I know
Yeah.
you have, but I feel like that's what you're thinking. You're holding back, and you feel like, because it's hard to say out loud
That you can say all these nice words, you can manipulate Katie, you can do whatever you want to do with that, but there's one problem. There's a really glaring problem here. She has no benefit at all protecting Charlie. No good comes from protecting Charlie, none whatsoever. So why would she not tell the truth about Charlie? Why? Why is this like pulling eye teeth when it comes to Charlie and his involvement in this supposed murder? Oh, I mean, it was a murder, but why? Because I don't think it was Charlie. I think it was Wendy.
I did this, that I did something.
That I had
sound-
an involvement.
You had
with
involvement
it, yes.
in something so
Tragic.
yeah, exactly. That a man lost his life. It's hard to say that out loud. Okay, put that aside. It's just me and you and this deputy in here. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, put that aside. We just need the facts of it
Yes,
at this point. Okay, so I understand it's hard to say, but we got to say it.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's get to that point. Let's get you knew it was going to happen. Then there was an understanding at some point that about payment and how we got to all of that. Let's start through that. Let's go from, okay, you had the Halloween party.
Okay.
You told him at that point. Once you told him yes, he's keeping on you. He keeps bringing it up. He's not letting it go. You're like, okay, this man's serious. Then at some point you talk to Sigfredo. It wasn't immediate.
Yes.
Okay, Sigfredo, you have him. You're understanding he's going to get someone to take care of it, but he was going to do that part.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're going back to Charlie. Okay, I got somebody for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now go from there. You tell Charlie I got somebody. Where does the discussion about payment happen? Where does the discussion like I said, I understand he didn't tell you I want this man killed,
Yes.
but at some point you understood that that's what he wanted. So let's get from the
What? So the prosecutor that is sitting there in the office taking this statement has just acknowledged, I understand that Charlie never said, I want this man killed. And she goes, yeah. But at some point, you just kind of became to realize that that's what he wanted. Yes, that's right. Justice Jane, how do you, is that ethical? Is that ethical when someone tells you, no, they didn't say that, but I thought they might have said that? And then you use that as the foundation to take someone's constitutionally protected freedoms? Is that okay? Okay. She's not going to answer. She's just going to say, Georgia's great.
payment and how that discussion happened and that what it was for.
Well, the payment wasn't ever directly discussed. Obviously, he was gonna pay for the situation to occur, but as far as how much it was or whatever, he never said it.
So there
Just
was
knows that it was going to be taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to.
All right. So he not only did he not say this guy needs to die, he also never said how much money he was going to give. Does that sound reasonable? That a hitman who would say, sure, I'm happy to go kill a guy you have not told me to go kill, and I'm willing to do it with no promise of payment at all. Because that's just the kind of hitman that I am.
To be taken care of.
Okay.
Like, okay, obviously there's, like I just told Zifredo, like you're going to get paid for this. So, which obviously he, like he's not going to do something without,
yeah,
exactly. And at that time, like I said, me and him were going through like a rough patch back and forth. And then financially too, because you see how many jobs that I had to take. So I think that was another initiative of why Charlie got in my head about like, well, you get money for this, you won't have to worry about things like, so.
And
that
I
was
understand
an
why you believe
advantage.
that.
Yeah.
Because he's already showing you this lifestyle. You were dating him briefly, and he's already showing you.
I actually did not know how much, like
how much he had.
He had, yeah.
Like he does talk like he has a lot of money.
Yes, of course.
Right.
I mean, like he.
A lot of people down in the South do that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the talk. It's him. He was not a flashy person, but I mean, he lived well off.
Right.
Golly, I would think someone who was a sex tourist, called himself Maestro, I'd think he'd be a flashy guy.
Right. And at that time, like I said, like we were like struggling. Like I'm working multiple jobs. I just broke up with Sigfredo a couple months before that. He didn't have a job. I'm pretty sure he was doing his thing, trying to make money, whatever it was, which he's like.
We understand what he was doing.
Yeah.
Okay. We understand how he was doing. That's neither here nor there. We don't care about that here. So you're struggling. You're a single mom. Dad's doing what he can to make money, but he ain't. You're really supporting your kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, that's happening.
Yeah.
You meet Charlie. You start dating Charlie. He's whining and
dining. We're hanging out.
I know not like official boyfriend girlfend, but you're dating, like going out on dates, going out with each other, doing things like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that happens. Then at some point he's comfortable enough to from the beginning, I think he said he was venting about his sister's ex or his sister's husband.
I guess things were occurring as that's happening. Like I said, now time frame wise, I see that there was a lot of things going on, and I guess that's why he's feeling pressured to pressure me of getting this done because of like
there was a lot of court stuff going on.
Exactly, which, like I said, I learned from. He never discussed anything to me about like what Wendy was going through.
Right.
But
he just told you she's having a hard time.
She's having a hard time. His parents weren't like, his mom especially wasn't like sleeping well and just a lot of like.
He never discussed with her what Wendy was going through. Well, then how did Lewis know that this whole hit had anything to do with children at all?
Hardship on his family.
Right.
So, I mean, he's painting a very bad picture of this guy to me, obviously.
Right.
Like, so I guess that's why my
so
conscience
in your mind, this is a
wasn't-
bad man that's putting
Yes.
the strain on this nice family that you just met and all this stuff, and he's wanting your help and you're wanting to help him.
Exactly.
Is that a good?
Yeah, that's a good.
What your mental state was.
Yeah. Because I mean, he knows how to get it to my head where it's obviously he was making it seem like he was the worst of the worst. Like this man was the worst of the worst. He's put. I mean, from what my understanding from meeting his parents and meeting his sister, they were good people.
Right.
So
you're just thinking there's this evil guy, really, in your mind,
that he was
turmoil.
Exactly, like putting the whole family into a bad situation.
Okay, so then Charlie, you agree? Let's get.
Okay,
I want to get past that now. We keep going back to the Halloween thing. That's a good thing because that's a point. That's a date in your head that we can pinpoint. Okay, now we got that pinpoint.
Okay, so,
I want to go forward from that up to. Okay, he never said the exact dollar amount. I got that. Okay. But he did say that you'll be compensated.
Yes, ma'am.
They will be compensated for taking care of this for him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have a question. if you went on a job interview and they told you the requirements of the job, they said what what the job description was and everything, and then you were getting ready, you thought, yeah, I think I might like to take this job, but I wonder if it's going to be like, is it going to be at least the same amount of the job that I have now, or would it be more, or would it be less? Like, what would it be? And so you say to the potential employer, well, what kind of remuneration is there? How much salary, or would it be hourly? Would I have, benefits, insurance, or 401k, or would I just be on my own? And the employer says to you, there'll be something for you. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure you're taken care of. How would you feel about taking that job? Would you be excited to do that? Or would you be really like, no, I'm not going to do this job not knowing what I'm going to make? That's kind of silly. And that's like an accounting job, much less killing someone where you could, go to prison for the rest of your life.
I know you don't know exact times.
Yes, ma'am.
But I want your best guess. If you say a month, 6 months, whatever. So if we got October is when the Halloween party was. We know Dan Markel was killed in July.
Yes, ma'am.
The following July. So that's not quite a year. Yeah, it's in
Okay.
2014 because it was October 2013. You go through July of 2014 is when he was killed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There was a trip before the July trip. There was that June trip, and you had previously told us, and I'm going to use this to remind you just because we spoke about it in Ocala last month.
Okay.
Or
Was it
early?
last month?
Early,
I felt like it was-
no, it was this month. It was last month. Either way, it's within the past 2 months. You did admit that when Sigfredo told you, and obviously you didn't know that Sigfredo, you're saying you didn't know that Sigfredo was the one that did it, but you knew he was getting someone to take care of this for Charlie, that he asked for money, and then when he needed more money for something, you would go back to Charlie and get more money for it.
Yes. Okay. It's just that before that, okay, that paper that I told you that
In the diaper bag?
that had to have been towards the beginning of the year,
Okay.
2014.
At the beginning of 2014, so after Christmas,
Yeah.
before they made any of the trips and things like that, correct?
Yeah, because I don't even know if there was any trips prior to
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So
Now, it's only been 8 weeks that they've started dating, right? It's only been 8 weeks since they started dating, but she's taking money to kill a guy.
that's okay. So that when I had given, okay, so Charlie gave me that, like I told you, he had it sealed. He's telling me
Hey, Meeser mom, how are you doing?
that he didn't print it
From
his house, and he did it probably from one of the offices, that he wore gloves. I mean, he was adamant about
Not
these
wanting you
things.
to touch it too. Right?
Yeah, he told me, please don't open it. It's sealed. Just you know what you have to do with it. So I was like, okay, and
Now, you guys realize 8 weeks, that is only half of a college semester. What else is 8 weeks? You can't even get your electricity bill, your lights shut off for non-payment in 8 weeks. Takes 12 weeks of no money before they'll come and turn off your electricity. What else happens in less than 8 weeks? You can probably lose about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15, no, not 15, maybe 10, 15 pounds in 8 weeks. 8 weeks that's not anything. And now you got Charlie sitting there, Mr. Gangbanger himself. Hey, there's an envelope in your diaper bag. You know what to do. This is remarkable.
Like I said, like I'm not even treating this like, okay, like he put it in the bag and I didn't even know how much longer until probably Sigfredo came by the house, or I mean the condo where I was living at that time. And then I was like, oh yeah, like you have a paper in there, like in the bag. And he
so
grabbed
it wasn't
it.
like you went to Sigfredo immediately and gave it to him. It was
No.
just when he came over, he got it out of the diaper bag.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When he gave you that paper,
Yes, ma'am.
and he's like, you know what to do with it. You know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I get you don't know what was in that paper.
Yes.
At that point,
Let's see.
did you know that?
Here, Sarah. She doesn't know what is in the paper. She doesn't know that Dan Markel needs to die. She doesn't know how much Charlie is going to pay for the death of Dan Markel. She doesn't know what Dan was doing to hurt her little friend Wendy. She doesn't know anything. But you are certainly molding out a story for her to memorize.
That understanding that he wanted, his intent was to have Dan Markel killed.
At that moment, no.
At that so it's after.
What? She's telling you the story, Katie Magbanoa. Why can't you keep up, girl? Listen to this, prosecutor. Listen to the way she's talking. Listen to this.
It's sealed. Just, you know what you have to do with it. So I was like, okay. And like I said, like, I'm not even treating this like, okay, like he put it in the bag and I didn't even know how much longer until probably Sigfredo came by the house, or I mean, the condo where I was living at that time. And then I was like, oh yeah, like you have a paper in there, like in the bag. And he
so
grabbed
it wasn't
it.
like you went to Sigfredo immediately and gave it to him. It was
No.
just when he came over, he got it out of the diaper bag.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. When he gave you that paper,
Yes, ma'am.
and he's like, you know what to do with it. You know what to do with it.
Yeah.
I get you don't know what was in that paper.
Yes.
At that point, did you know that understanding that he wanted, his intent was to have Dan Markel killed?
At that moment, no.
At that so it's after the paper.
Yes,
that you
ma'am.
realized that. Okay, but
Yeah,
it is
like I said, it
is
had to
before
have
he was
been
killed.
way before. Yeah. Like, way after that.
Okay, so way after that.
Because
so,
I feel like that's like towards the beginning of the year, maybe between January and March.
Okay, so between January and March, the paper happened.
It had to be way after that, because all of that happened like in January or February, right? But Markel was killed in July. So what do you mean way after that? Oh my goodness.
Okay, that's yes. And I understand you're not exact dates.
Yeah.
That's okay. Between January and March, the paper happens. Sigfredo gets paper. The murder happens in July. So from March to July, about how soon before the murder was it that you think that you understood that he was going to be killed?
From March to July. Well, like you said, the trip before, right?
The June. Yep, that's the June trip.
I was never aware. Like Sigfredo's always goes out of town, or whatever business he has to do or whatever. Like he never told me where he was going.
Okay.
Like I didn't know anything about the whole Tallahassee or whatever. He never mentioned that. Kept that away from me. Okay. Any information. So, but he did say he was going out of town.
He did, but at some point with that,
that's what. Yeah. So Sigfredo
that.
didn't have any money, obviously. So he'd be like, "Well, I need some money so I can go out of town." I'm thinking in my head, maybe this is where he needs to scope things out or whatever. So that's where I will go to Charlie, and I'm like, "Hey, like, I need some money so that to take care of whatever expenses and stuff."
Right. So you're telling him the expenses,
all for a murder that's not going to happen. This is the most ridiculous legal interview I've ever heard.
for them planning what they are taking care of for Charlie.
That's, I guess, assumed.
Assumed?
Okay.
Yeah. So you just tell them, I need more money for expenses. And it's assumed.
I guess so. I have any money, obviously. Mm-hmm. So he'd be like, well, I need some money so I can go out of town. I'm thinking in my head, maybe this is where he needs to scope things out or whatever. So
Well,
that's where I will go to Charlie, and I'm like, hey, like, I need some money so that, you know, to take care of whatever
Okay.
expenses and stuff.
Right. So you're telling them the expenses for them planning what they're taking care of for Charlie.
I mean, that's, I guess, assumed.
Assumed?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just tell them I need more money for expenses. And it's
Yeah,
assumed.
because he's never given me, he
At
never
that point,
gave
he can't
me
give you
any money at
yet.
all.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so that was the first time he gave you money.
Yeah.
So the first time he gave you money is when you're going back and you're like, hey, I need money for expenses.
Yeah, because this is, yeah,
Now
because
he's
Fredo's telling me, like,
hey,
I
we're
need some
going,
money.
I need money that this is trying to be planned.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what Sigfrid is telling you. So then you go to Charlie and you tell him, hey, we need money for expenses. So, and that's the understanding, expenses for planning what is about to happen.
Yes.
Okay.
what was about to happen?
How soon before he left for out of town did that happen?
From what, when he
In the
would give
June,
me
the first one, you said when he went to
see, I don't know time. I mean, I don't know when he did leave. Obviously, now I know, like, the June
well,
and
yeah,
July
so
trip.
but at the time you didn't know.
Yeah, like, he just asked me for money. I wanted Charlie, got the money, and then gave
Gave
it
it
to
back to
him. I don't know when he went or how soon he went after I handed him that money.
Okay. Do you know how much money it was you got from Charlie?
Like a couple $100. It has to be, yeah, like
Okay.
less than probably $5.
Okay.
I just
So
know there was like
$500
a
or less?
yeah. I don't remember.
Okay. But it was just enough in your understanding and in Charlie's understanding it was for expenses for him to
Like,
Sorry.
I didn't ask him for a specific
amount.
amount.
You just said you need expense money.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. At that point, though, when you're asking for that money, you knew that their plan is the planning for the murder at this point, correct?
No,
Okay.
I still don't know anything about, like, the murder. That's the
What? What? They got people coming and saying we need money, and you're contacting supposedly Charlie saying we need money so that they can go to Tallahassee and scope things out, and they still don't know if they're going to get paid or how much they're going to get paid, but it's certainly not for the death of another human being. This is incredible that this was ever accepted or used in a court of law. It is incredible.
like, I guess.
So
to
now
just
you're saying
scope
at
it.
between June and July, so that last month is when, before he was murdered, is when you realized that was what was going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay. So was there anything specific that
that's like an
was
indication
said,
of
yeah.
saying that this was that.
this is what was going to
No.
happen?
No.
Okay, what in your, try and think about the way you process things and the way you think about things. What would have happened, or what in your mind made you know that they switched from him being beat up to it's about to be a murder? Because you're
I
saying
can't
that no one ever said it specifically, right? Did Sigfredo say it, mention in the passing, that that's what's
I know.
happening?
He definitely would have never
He
told
would've,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, that him definitely
He
would
wouldn't
have.
have.
It would have had to come from Charlie,
Charlie.
and that's what I don't.
So it's something that Charlie said to you that made you understand that that's what he wanted.
Yeah, from what he had said. Yeah, from what Charlie would have said, would never be like, because then Sigfredo never even told me what was on that paper.
Right.
So if there was any instructions of what needed to be done, obviously he kept that away from me and he never mentioned it to me. But along the way, Charlie probably said something about it. But at that time, like, I don't know, like, I guess it just wasn't dawning on me that, okay, like, this is specifically what was going to happen.
Right. It did at some point before the murder happened. It dawned on you.
I believe so.
Okay. So here.
Probably, maybe, I believe so.
Here's my thing. So they get money and you go get money from Charlie for expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
To scope things out, whatever. That was the understanding. That's
Yes,
what the
ma'am.
money was for. Okay, I get that. The
To
understanding.
take the trip.
Take the trip.
Yeah.
Okay, if they were just going to go beat somebody up, you don't really need to go scope it out. Just go beat somebody up.
Well, that's the thing. I wouldn't know. Like, I would think, I wouldn't know what specifics would be just to, like, I get what you mean now. Like,
Yeah.
like, why would you need money? But, like, I mean, to travel to get to wherever he needed to go.
Right. I understand the money to get travel and everything like that. He's paying for the expensive. He wants this done, so he better pay for us to go and get it done.
Yes.
But so when he came back from that trip, okay,
From the first
trip,
the first
Dan
time.
Markel's still alive at this point.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
first trip he comes back. Did he discuss anything about the scoping it out? Say anything
He
about
didn't
getting
say
more money
anything
from
to me.
Charlie?
Secreto didn't say anything to me.
Okay.
And then obviously Charlie was like, nothing happened. So,
Was
I
like, what
mean,
happened?
he's okay and he didn't get beat up or anything. So nothing happened.
Right.
So
So Charlie
it just-
told you that nothing happened during that trip. Was Charlie thinking that something was going to happen during that trip?
I believe so.
So you think Charlie?
Yeah,
thought
well, because of the fact that I had asked for money and for him to even go up there,
up there,
like, yeah, I guess he was assuming something was going to happen and nothing happened.
and then nothing happened. So then Charlie reaches out to you and was like, "Hey, nothing happened."
Yeah.
Okay. So Charlie calls you about that and says nothing happened.
Yeah.
Okay. What else did Charlie say during those conversations? The best you could think of, because obviously he was expecting something to happen during that first trip. Is that around the time that you think he might have said something about what he wanted to happen to Dan?
He was just always saying like this needs to be taken care of. Like this needs to be done. Like he was just kind of frantic about, like about
why
that.
isn't it done?
Yeah, like why isn't it done?
Did he say anything about the timeline it's taking to get it done?
No.
No,
There's never any
the paper at the
timeline.
beginning of the year, and now
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, it did, like I said, that's what I'm saying. It's like all that time had passed. So it's like, I kept living my life and going about whatever I had to do. So it wasn't like until he started like pressuring, I guess, around that time that it needed to be done, like around.
So around like
July.
the first trip that they went
Yes.
was when he started really pressuring
Yes.
Charlie.
But wasn't there another trip prior to that?
I know for sure there was the June trip, and I know that there was talk about there possibly was a trip in around May, maybe.
Okay.
But
I wasn't aware of that
Yeah.
because I never.
There, I'm not sure. Don't quote
Okay.
me on that around the May one. I think there was talk, but I know for sure there was the June trip, and then there's obviously the July trip when Dan Markel was killed. Okay, we know about the June trip. We know how that happened. We know. I mean, you heard on one trial about that. I know you didn't know it was Secreto that came up here. Now you do. Your own experience from that time is what we're talking about. We're not talking about the stuff you learned in trial.
Yes, ma'am.
So your experience from that time is Secreto comes to you and says, "Hey, I need money to make this happen for him." Before Secreto did that, you said Charlie was pressuring, like, "Hey, what's going on? Why isn't it happening?" Did you go to?
Because I guess he assumed something was to happen
that trip.
Yes.
Okay. So before that trip, before Secreto asked for that money, did Charlie ever come to you like, "Hey, why is it taking so long?" And
I'm pretty sure he did, but
And then did you?
I just didn't,
You would have
like-
had to relay that to Secreto.
yeah, and he just probably didn't care or didn't, whatever. Like, I don't have time to do this right now, or
Okay.
he was in his own little
He's on the line.
binge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that also too with the whole, this is why certain conversations that I have with Secreto are so like confusing and like shady, because he was he was under the influence like the whole time. So it's like some of the times he didn't even make any sense, or I would be frustrated and I just didn't want to deal with it.
Right.
Like it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not invested in
Yeah. It
in
was
the
just,
situation.
you're still
where
living and doing your normal life. This is just something on the side that every time
it
comes up,
occurred,
you're-
and yeah.
Okay.
And obviously, since I was.
But you're the one going and getting money so they can go scope it out. But we now know that Sigfredo was so heavily under the influence of drugs and alcohol at the time that there were many days that he was incoherent. How can you be a hitman and shooting and killing people? I think it's more likely that Lewis was probably the gunman.
Was dating Charlie at that time. He's in my head
constantly
talking about this all the time. Like, yeah, we would hang out, but then he'd have this like, oh, okay, so what's going on? Like,
when Charlie wants
Probably.
something done, he's going to keep at you till it gets
oh
done.
yes,
Right.
yes,
When Charlie's got something in his head, I from what I've observed based on the stuff in this case, he's going to keep going at it. So that's what you're trying to say. So even though Sigfredo's living his life, you're still with Charlie, and Charlie's keep continuing to come at you Okay, why isn't this happening? Hey, let's get this.
I mean,
done.
I would
Hey,
relate-
This is still an issue.
I've related to Sigfredo, but Sigfredo didn't care. Like,
To
half
him.
the time,
It wasn't
yeah.
that important
Yeah.
to him. You get to it when you get to it.
Yes.
Okay, so then he came to you, asked for money
Mhm.
for that trip in June.
Yes, ma'am.
You go to Charlie, you get, we're going to say approximately $500. So
Yeah.
that's not a definite amount,
Yeah.
but no more than 500. Okay, you give that to
Definite.
Sigfredo.
Nothing is definite. It's all just guesses and, Anyway, she'll go on a couple more times and say, Charlie never said that. Charlie never said he had to die, blah, blah, blah. We're only 58 minutes into the proffer. So, I think if you're still interested in the rest of what's being said, yeah, and that's the other part too. The question is who exactly is telling the story, right? I mean, it seems like about 10 minutes previously, the prosecutor just starts telling Katie, oh, and then Charlie said this, and then Charlie said that, and Charlie said this and this, blah, blah. She's just telling Katie the story now. And I don't have any, I hate criminals. I hate people that victimize and violate others. And Dan Markel did not deserve to die on any level. But how is justice served if you arrest the wrong person? How is justice served if the wrong person spends the rest of their life in prison and the right person, the guilty person, walks free forever enjoying all their millions? How is that justice? How is it justice? All right. Tomorrow, I'm going to do another issue that causes me to be in disbelief that Charlie Adelson ordered the hit. I'm just going to present, this is one of this, Katie's proffer, it really bothers me. But there's a ton of other stuff that bothers me just as bad. All right. So thank you guys for being here. I certainly appreciate it, especially taking a beautiful, beautiful Sunday afternoon and wasting it once again on, the horrific murder of Dan Markel. It's really, really sad and tragic and horrible. Please excuse Caps. I got bad eyes. Me too, girl. I'm an old lady. I gotcha. I'm on replay cruise, so a bit behind, but contextually, I think you are missing the severe dissociation Katie Magbanoa is in after this. I have a question, Sunny Spirit. For what reason do you believe that Katie Magbanoa is dissociated? Because it explains this circus? Well, that is actually one of the things that really bothers me, Sunny Spirit, are these phone calls, this little map that was laid out. You want to know the problem? The problem is that the prosecutor did not provide all the phone calls. And because Charlie Adelson spent a lot of time in his car driving from office to office to office to office, there was a lot of downtime that he would call people and chat. So there were a lot of phone calls to his mom. There were a lot of phone calls to his dad, a lot of phone calls to Katie and other friends. When someone has a high rate of telephone use, it is really easy to say, okay, this is what I want to be happening. Now, can I pull out strategic phone calls and make it look like that's what happened? But there were many calls in between the others that were not provided to the jury. This jury didn't look at anything. This jury did not look at a single piece of evidence at all. They were in the back long enough to eat their lunch and to figure out how to fill out the form. But every single one of them had already predetermined that this guy was guilty. I believe that they had already decided he was guilty because of the extensive coverage in the Tallahassee news, the YouTube channels by Tallahassee attorneys. It was a big, huge case there. Everyone was talking about it, and it was absolutely mindless that there was not a change of venue. What was established, Sonny? Was there a psychologist that testified that I don't know about? Because I've watched all of the trials. There, and I will tell you this too, Sonny. Sitting here and watching her here, she is not having a psychiatric event. She is perfectly fine here. I've never ever heard any reference to Katie Magbanoa is in dissociative state or that she suffers from dissociative identity disorder. I haven't heard anything like that till just now. She's not dissociated. She is absolutely grounded and knows exactly where she is and what she's doing. She even asked to talk to Jason, so she's problem solving. She's fine. This is a situation where a human being's constitutional protections were so severely violated that he's likely going to get another bite at the apple. And if that happens, if they do decide to give him a new trial, then they are going to be very careful that they follow the letter of the law and that they don't let this happen again. I expect that if he is granted a new trial, they'll probably also give him the change of venue. It's going to be a whole different ballgame. Are you not going to tell me, Sonny? Like, why are you saying that she's suffering dissociation? Oh no, severe dissociation. She's not even mildly dissociated. Weird. Really weird. That's it? You're not going to say any more? Okay, I'm fixing to end my live if you don't have anything else to say. All right. So thank you for commenting though, Sunny Spirit. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I agree. Who's telling the story? I think when you get to the second half of the proffer, that the prosecutor has become really, really frustrated and is now just blatantly, boldly telling Katie how it happened, rather than Katie telling her, the prosecutor, what Charlie did. Katie has not said a single thing that Charlie did. And she has absolutely said many times throughout this 2-hour meeting, she says many times, Charlie never said Dan needed to die. Charlie never said we had to kill him. Charlie never said that. I thought it was just, beating up or whatever. Oh, yeah. Charlie said he would pay us, but he never told us how much he would pay us. That's just not real, Sonny. That is not real. No hitman on the planet is going to agree to something so ludicrous and ridiculous. No, there's something else going on here with Katie. For some reason, she is refusing to give the prosecution the information on Charlie, or she doesn't have a story about Charlie because Charlie was not the guy. I believe Wendy was puppet master. I believe that Katie Magbanoa got sucked into Girl Club with Wendy and Donna, that they groomed her and molded her, made her feel like she was special and important as one of the girls, maybe even set up a bank account for her 2 autistic kids, maybe something like that. But it was that Charlie was the intended fall guy for the girls to walk away in good shape. She has no information about Charlie. She doesn't know anything about him. It's crazy. It's the craziest video. It's the craziest video. All right. Tomorrow, let's see. I don't know about tomorrow. Give me 2 seconds. Let me see what my schedule looks like. Bum, ba-da-dun, dun, dun, dun. And I hope you guys enjoy your Sunday afternoon. I don't know where you guys are, but it is really, really pretty here on the Texas Gulf Coast. It's real windy, though. That is one problem in terms of wanting to get out and sit and enjoy it. It's so windy. Yes, I will definitely be able to do a video tomorrow afternoon. All right. So I'll be back. We'll cover another one of the issues in this entire case that makes me very uncomfortable, makes me doubt that Charlie was involved. Although, even though in my doubt, I still respect that a jury of his peers found him guilty, and he is currently serving a life sentence. Right now, he's in the Florida Department of Corrections. So, but I can't get settled with this. This case is unsettling. It feels like the wrong guy got convicted. It should be Wendy. Wendy's the one. I believe it in my heart and soul. All right. I hope you guys have a good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Hit the thumbs up before you leave. Please subscribe if you haven't on your way out, and I'll be back tomorrow, okay? See you later, Sunny Spirit. Bye, DV. Thank you for being here. Bye.